Good good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever the case may be. This is Gross Examinations Live. I am your host, Mike S. Miller. You are on Blacklist Universe. As you come in, as you roll in here, please do hit the like button, hit that share button, get it out there. Obviously, you're subscribed if you're here this early. So thank you, one and all. Topic for today: the religion of peace strikes again. That's going to be a little depressing. But before we go there, man, it seems like it did rain a little bit last night. There are clouds in the sky today. Yes, it's San Diego, and there are clouds in the sky today. Hello, Jesse, Michael, and Antonio. Welcome to the show. Let's start by running through yesterday's comments. And it seems we had, how many? Oh, my neck. 12 comments. All right. Ball Dust, I'm going to ignore yours. It has nothing to do with the show. Canary Noir. Let's make sure here. After last night's Comic Skate stream, I will never hear Mike laugh without EVS's echoing in my ears again. Love you guys. And we love you too, Canary. Sorry, I just drank my coffee, and now for some reason my throat. Am I just talking too much? Is that the problem here? That might be the problem. Maybe I should give YouTube a rest for a while. Coffee start. Try the Khalifa brand of... All right, suggestions for coffee creamer. Ronald Frechette. If your religion is the basis for your moral code, how can we trust politicians who openly say they won't let it inform their decisions? Well, would you rather have someone whose moral code you can open up a book and read and objectively call them on being a hypocrite if they are doing something wrong according to that moral code? Is it better to have an objective rule book by which you can call somebody out and say, this is wrong because of what you believe says this is wrong? Or would you rather have someone whose morals can change on a whim? A person who has absolutely no objective foundation to their faith. Someone who you might elect into office because of the things they say, and then do a complete 180 when they get there because their moral code honestly doesn't exist in any objective sense. How can you trust politicians who openly have no objective moral code? Which would you rather have? This is a would you rather instance, right? Now, if someone has a moral code, a moral foundation, and part of that foundation is abiding the laws of the land, as Christianity says. Christianity, it's a foundational thing. You abide the laws of the land. That means the Supreme Court too. As long as they do not force you to do something against your faith. Right? So, I mean, that's in my mind, that's the best kind of person you want in office. So, you know, how many politicians have gotten elected and done a complete freaking 180 on what they were elected to do? All right, Nathan Rosario. To add to your comment about boxers thanking God after fights. I used to work for a professional UFC fighter who is a devout Christian, and I've known a few MMA fighters who are also Christians. There is no inconsistency when a professional athlete in a sports like MMA or boxing thanks God after winning a fight. I know lots of Christians who are in martial arts, in MMA, boxing. Yeah, Just because they do it professionally, I don't think there's anything particularly wrong with that. Hello, Edwin Boyette. Welcome to the party, pal.
Hey, what's going on, Mr. Miller?
Just rolling through the comments from yesterday. If you want to chime in, I'm in the middle of a comment by our friend Nathan Rosario. Did you hear it, or do you want me to start over?
I just logged in, so I'm playing catch up.
Okay, I'll start over. Nathan Rosario says, to add to your comment about boxers thanking God after fights, I used to work for a professional UFC fighter who is a devout Christian, and I've known a few MMA fighters who are also Christians. So there is no inconsistency when a professional athlete in a sport like MMA or boxing thanks God after winning a fight. It's a heavy regulated sport. In many ways, it's safer than your average high school football game. And it's not about being violent or looking to seriously harm your opponent. It's about competitiveness and testing yourself against the best in the sport. This is only a problem in the modern church because of how feminized much of American Christianity has become. Masculinity, competitiveness, and aggression are gifts that God gave to men. So it makes sense that Satan would want to deceive the church into believing that these traits are sinful and should be purged from our lives. Thoughts?
There's nothing inherently wrong with an athletic competition.
Mm-hmm.
Several of our men, former and current men, compete in MMA. And one of my lead foremen actually works for the athletic commission here in the state of Hawaii as an official. So our company is deeply tied to MMA, and several of our workers are have held belts, have excelled. One of my workers gave a really good fight to a current UFC champion. So people operating at high levels. Sometimes my one of my bosses is also my pastor, and he'll counsel the men if they come to him for a Christian perspective. He has kind of mixed views on it, but it's not inherently contradictory.
Yeah.
I don't know that the lifestyle itself, people operating at the high level that have all these demands, I don't know that that's necessarily conducive to pursuing a life of faith just because of all the worldly obligations. But there's nothing.
Yeah, but what can't you say about that?
Yeah. But there's nothing inherently. You got to figure. I mean, you get out of a fight, even in an MMA event, and you've got this huge rush of adrenaline and stuff. And what happens, and we've kind of had this talk before about untested convictions. You put a man in a situation, or put a person in a situation where they're exhausted, fatigued, where they're put under immense stress. And an MMA fight is exactly like that. And it strips away all this artifice, all these layers of stuff that we lay on ourselves, or that get laid on us, and the way we want to present us. And for a moment or two, you're going to get a look at who a person really is when they're pushed to their limits. You're going to see who that person is, just for a brief moment, right? And so I firmly believe that a lot of these sincere professions of thanks to their creator are entirely genuine and entirely heartfelt.
Yeah. I also think he has a good point with the feminization. It's not just of American Christianity, but it's of the culture writ large.
Oh, churchianity, or whatever the term is.
Yeah. All right. Johnny Torch says, as Jesus said, a tree is identified by its fruit. Yeah, I don't know if you caught yesterday's show. It was a lot about, works over words,
Right.
Works not words.
Did you go into some James? You read a little bit from James?
I don't remember. I read from some stuff. Yeah, I think we did. I think
so. Very good.
Um, the tree being identified by its fruit, because I do hold the stand that it is ultimately it's ultimately unknowable. I can't, Edwin, I can't know your heart. I can know your works, and I think Paul makes that that argument. Show me, I'll show you my faith by my works. But it is the works that you can judge. You cannot judge a heart, right? That's the purview of God. And the is it in Matthew 7? When Jesus said, "Many will come to me and say, Lord, Lord, look at all this, look at all the works, right? Look at
Yeah,
all the works I did," and He'll say, "Get away from me! I never knew you, you workers of iniquity." Right?
yeah, yeah.
So ultimately, only God knows. But we are to use our best judgment and best discernment to say, "I believe in my heart, my brother Edwin is a brother in the faith." Um,
Well,
you better
and
not be messing with me, Edwin.
there's a simple way to look at some of this stuff. Christ laid the Great Commission upon the apostles, and he routinely commanded not only attitudes, but he commanded actions, right? And so
Mhm.
going back to James, James says, do you mind if I read a few verses? Do we have time?
Never, always. What? Yeah, do.
Okay. So this is from James 2. What does it profit, my brethren, or my brethren, though a man say he have faith and have not works? Can faith save him? If a brother or sister be naked and destitute of daily food, and one of you say unto him, Depart in peace, be ye warmed and filled, notwithstanding you give them not those things which are needful to the body, what does it profit? Even so, faith, if it hath not works, is dead, being alone. Now, in a primary example of this, if Christ had said, you know what, oh, you wretched humanity, you have sinned against my Father, and it is enough that I'm willing to get up on the cross. I'm not going to get up on the cross, but I'm willing to, right? No, there was
Mm-hmm.
action. There was action. All right. Thou believe there is one God, thou do well. The devils also believe and tremble. But will thou know, O vain man, that faith without works is dead? Was not Abraham, our father, justified by works when he had offered Isaac, his son, upon the altar? See thou have faith, see thou how faith wrought with his works, and, and by works was faith made perfect. The scripture was fulfilled, which saith, Abraham believed God, and it was imputed unto him for righteousness,
Mm-hmm.
and he was called the friend of God. You see then how that by works a man is justified and not by faith only. Right? The distinction here, and if we looked at it in Greek, it would probably make more sense.
Yeah,
Is that faith motivates people to action.
that's right.
Likewise, also was not Rahab, the harlot, justified by works, when she had received the messengers and had sent them out another way. For as the body without the spirit is dead, so faith without works, and you can, if it's helpful to you, translate the works to action, is dead also. And James is great on this stuff.
Yeah, a faith that does not produce works is not faith. I mean, I think people have made such, you know. Can you turn that down? Off? Turn. Yeah. Thank you. Really? Um. This faith works. Um. It's caused divisions. It's caused. But you have to look at this in the totality of Scripture, and this is sort of James trying to put a fine line on it, right? Put a fine point on it. That faith without works is dead. If you look throughout Scripture, it is faith that saves, right? But a faith, if you are imbued with the Holy Spirit, because that is what happens when you accept Christ, that faith causes you to do good works. I mean, sorry, I'm a little discombobulated right now.
Well, here's an interesting tangent, and this is going back to the MMA stuff. Is that okay?
Yeah.
And Scott Eben is saying, what I'm saying is there is no scripture that supports sports violence. I guess he means athletic violence against your brother or sister. You're absolutely right. Paul himself, though, Paul was a well-educated man. Talking about the Apostle Paul. Reading many of his epistles, I can tell, and he says he was a Pharisee of Pharisees. We have some information about how he was educated, and he was absolutely educated. If you read some of his expressions, it mirrors some of the things that come from the Stoics almost exactly. So you
I can shorten this up, Scott. There's no scripture that supports comic book artists.
But where I was going with that is Paul uses a metaphor of athletic competition.
Yep.
And this phrasing that Paul uses would have been immediately relevant to anybody in his particular time. And I'm talking about running a race.
Yep.
Let's see if we can find that. And then Paul also talks about keeping his body under submission. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
I beat my body.
Don't take that literally, like hurting yourself, please. That's not biblical.
Yeah. You've got to read this stuff with discernment. Here we go. And so there's at least two places where Paul uses these metaphors or this phrasing that would have immediately been understandable analogies to people at the time, right? Particularly in the era in which he preached and the circle that he traveled during his ministry. There we go. And this is from 1 Corinthians 9, starting in verse 24. Know ye not that they which run in a race run all, but one receiveth the prize? So run, that ye may obtain. And every man that striveth for the mastery is temperate in all things. Now they do it to obtain a corruptible crown, but we an incorruptible. I therefore so run, not as uncertainty, so fight I, not as one that beateth the air, but I keep under my body. In other translations where he says, but I keep under my body, this is where, in other translations, it may be read, I keep my body under submission, or I beat my body, and so forth. But I keep under my body and bring it into subjection, lest that by any means, when I have preached to others, I myself should be a castaway. And so what I would suggest to you here is that Paul is using the analogy or metaphors of athletic endeavors that would have been immediately receivable. Relatable to the people at the time. Because we're now looking some of this language, we have to do a little research, and we have to let the Holy Spirit have its way. But even I think the point you're making is there in general there is not a celebration of violence in an athletic endeavor. An athletic endeavor, even with violent components, is not, I think, by nature a sinful thing. It is absolutely a worldly thing.
Yeah. No, but athletic competition comes in many stripes. P Money says, hey Mike, I don't think you got to this question in the chat, so I'll ask it here. Just curious, with other comic creators, did you often or very little talk about your faith or their views over the years? Were you most often aware of who the followers of Christ in the industry were, or did you more likely find yourself surprised whenever you learned of someone? Always a fan of cross-examinations and will continue to be. I've always been very vocal and open about my faith. And so I don't know if that led other people to tell me about theirs, but I know I'm rarely surprised when someone's a Christian, because I what?
How am I getting my internship?
When is that?
Right now.
You know, you need to give me a little heads up on these things, Eden. You can't bust in on me in the middle of cross-examinations to tell me you need to go somewhere. No, why didn't you tell
Suffer
me?
the little children. When does Miss Eden need to go somewhere?
Well, why didn't you say something when I was out? Aw. He's going to start biting your face then.
So did you, Eden, you can tell us, did your father boomer it up?
Yeah.
Or is this your failure to inform him about the
No,
yes,
it's
that's
father, I think.
her failure.
Every day.
You legitimately have to leave right now.
Yes.
Our audience does appreciate it though when you embarrass your father on live YouTube. It's a great thing.
She should be embarrassed.
I do it every day.
Why didn't you say something?
Huh?
Why didn't you say something
I
earlier?
was getting ready.
No, you weren't. You were laying in bed on your phone or reading
on my
manga. You're
phone.
reading manga. That is not getting ready.
What is your endeavor today, Eden? Are you participating in an acting or singing event?
No, I'm going on an internship to
An
an
internship.
art studio.
This is getting very expensive. These Ubers are $20 each way. I know my car's in the driveway, but I'm only halfway through. I'm not even halfway through cross-examinations. Can you be a half an hour late?
No, I'm already late.
You were just sitting in your bed reading manga.
No,
How are
I
you already
wasn't.
late?
I was not doing that.
What manga title were you reading? Was it good manga at least?
It was around High School Host Club, so not that good.
Shoot, and then it's gonna take me 40 minutes to get back.
Can't you just live stream on your phone?
I can't. My phone doesn't. The YouTube on my phone doesn't work anymore for some reason.
We're getting Miller examinations today.
Unbelievable! Look at that. $24.30.
The frugal family.
It's unbelievable. It cost me $50 to get her back and forth yesterday.
Isn't Eden an artist herself in her own right?
She is. She should sell something on the auction.
You should produce a drawing for the Friday night auctions, and then we'll auction that off, and then maybe that will offset your Uber fees.
Oh.
Yeah, do a Lone Star cat. Or just do a Lone Star. All right, I'm only doing this because I don't have time to get all the kids dressed because they all have to go with me.
Isn't JoJo old enough to drive yet? Maybe we could get a trench coat and put him on one of his other brother's shoulders with a fedora, and JoJo could drive her. That would probably be an adventure.
Life is an adventure with this child. All right, they'll be here in 4 minutes.
Well, that's pretty speedy.
Uber, man. Uber.
Uber. They're always watching.
There's one in Casa de Oro, so.
Oh, wait, don't dunk yourself.
Bye. I love you. Close the door, Eden.
Miller-Rooney. I'm waiting to see if this cat takes out Miller.
Oh, he's trying to get out of the door. Come on. I'm going to rip the foam off my door. This is the real life.
All right. Did we have any more? Did we have any more comments that we need to? I'm sorry, I didn't mean to chew up. I didn't mean to chew up today's show with referencing yesterday's show.
Oh, that's what we do. That's how we started off. Usually it only takes about 15 minutes, but here we are, half an hour in. All right, Facebook followers, hit that YouTube link because I'm shutting the Facebook stream off now. Thanks, guys.
Now, what is the reference for the title? I noticed the title of today's episode.
Grim. This is grim stuff. Come on, share screen, you dumb computer. All right, this is The Sun, which I'm not sure is the greatest site, but it's not the only site it's on. All right, I'm not going to do this page because it's got some weird thing on it.
Be very thoughtful in your phrasing today.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm not even. I don't even want to read it, but yeah. This.
Wow. Yeah, I saw that title. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Boy 6 beheaded with a piece of broken glass in front of his screaming mother in Saudi Arabia. And this was again the Sunni Shia. You know, these guys all believe in the same God, but apparently they don't believe in the same religion. So therefore, they must be murdered in front of their mothers. And then I was like, I was trying to find other sources for this, and I just looked up, boy beheaded or child beheaded, and I started finding all these older ones about, gosh darn, I just clicked the things. Here's a 7-year-old boy on the 1st of February. I guess that's the same one. They must get the age wrong. Here's an earlier one of a Syrian rebel group beheading a 12-year-old child. Here is a 9-year-old girl having been beheaded in Afghanistan. And it's just like, what the heck, man?
Yeah, people forget that a lot of, during certain phases in history, a lot of religiously motivated violence is actually committed by and against people's co-religionists. Islam has its own sects and divisions. You have the broad divisions of Sunni and Shia. In Syria, for instance, there's an even smaller sect, and it explains part of why these people will never abandon Assad, because of their particular sect is pretty much universally considered like heretics and horrible people by the rest of the Islamic world. I mean, just their beliefs are just slightly different. I don't know all the fine points of it, but if Saddam, if the Syrian leader was overthrown, who they've supported, the people that came after them would essentially commit genocide on these people.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And Christians were actually safer in Syria prior to the civil war.
Christians were safer in Iraq prior to Saddam being ousted.
Yeah. So
I don't know if I told you that story before. Well, I was picked up by a tow truck driver when we have a large community of Coptic Christians here, right? And so like there's tow truck companies that are just run like 100% by Coptic Christians here, and I was talking to this guy. It was like a 20-25 minute drive. And he was just going on and on about how much he loved Assad and how much the Christians in Iraq loved Saddam, because, he had his boot on the neck of the insane Islamists, and would protect, because he was trying to maintain. It's not like he was a lover of Christians, but he was trying to maintain the peace. And the ones who were trying to cause all the upheaval were the Islamicists who were trying to kill Christians.
Yes.
And yeah, so Saddam was his screensaver.
And hopefully people have had their eyes open over the last couple of decades. You know, there is no disputing that people like Gaddafi, that people like Saddam Hussein and some of these other people did absolutely horrible stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But if they're removed and these regions are destabilized, it does not mean that the successor entities will be better. And in fact, we found in almost every case, that in the disorder and the chaos and whatever came after these people being deposed and removed, the suffering for these people was actually increased. We've done them no favors. We've just created generations and generations of additional suffering, death, misery, which will birth suffering and misery and terrorism and wars that we can't even begin to predict now.
Yeah, for 100 years, well, not 100, well, close to 100 years, since 1918, the West has put strong dictators into power over the various countries in the Middle East since we broke up. Not like I was alive then. Since we broke up the Ottoman Empire and subjugated it under essentially secular rule, to keep Islam from doing what Islam had been doing for the past 1400 years, which was enslaving, subjugating, murdering people who disagree with them, right? Even each other.
Yes.
Nowadays, primarily each other. And it was the removal. You can't. They've done. And I know for those of you who have been here, you've heard me say this before, time and time again. And I argued with Doug Tenaple about this on a stream because he's like, no, we should give them democracy. I'm like, you can't go to a population whom 70% of which agree with terrorism and give them the power to vote people into power. No. If it's, the choice of two devils, you choose the devil who's just a greedy, personally fulfilling, dictatorial, whatever. You don't pick the ideological one who wants to commit the world to genocide.
Yeah, and I don't know that we need to be doing the picking in any event.
Well, I'm not. I don't mean the country. I just mean, like, who would you rather? It's a game of would you rather. Would you rather have Assad, or would you rather have a Muslim caliphate? Right. So,
I think my couch may be here. Let me confirm.
All right. Let me roll up through the chat and see what peeps are saying.
Okay, Mr. Miller. Yeah, I gotta go. If I have time, I'll pop back on. Otherwise, I'll see you later today. God bless you, and God bless the audience.
All right, brother. God bless. Enjoy your couch. Teen girl time. Might get on their schedule. If I'd have known she had a schedule, I would have gotten the kids ready. I would have driven her myself. It's like $4 worth of gas and 40 minutes. Actually, it's not really a good use of my time, but oh my gosh. I could have taken the kids out to breakfast or something, or lunch. Mike's daughter's new show, Manga Examinations. Kyung Lee type manga? No, she does not do Kyung Lee type manga. She does. Well, she does. I mean, she does some great art. You guys want to see some? I could go grab some and show you. Let me know. We understand and can come back. It's all right. I'll just make sure that we can pick fusion. I don't know what that is. I'm getting a call. La, 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 la. Will she be in the next auction? Yeah, we should totally do that. We should probably have her in the next auction, at least one piece. We got to the topic. Mike is wearing skin pants again. They're khakis. And I'm wearing a red shirt, so I could walk into Target and people would think I work there. Khakis with a red shirt. Last Orion says he just read about that on Jihad Watch. I know, I don't even want to read the stories. It's just so vile. I mean, 6-year-old children, 7-year-old children, 9-year-old children, 12-year-old children. You have to be possessed of absolute demonic hatred to be able to bring yourself to hate a child for being the wrong religion. Honestly, incomprehensible on any human level whatsoever. Sounds like a case of possession, says Peter Allen, and I honestly, I can't entirely disagree with you. Withheld rather not say says, I don't know a lot about Islam. I'm not sure if it's good or bad. It's really confusing. Can someone tell me? Well, Islam was started by a warlord named Muhammad. Muhammad was sort of rejected by the people of Mecca because he was trying to proclaim there was one God. Mecca was a city of the gods. There was a building they called the Kaaba, which contained the 360 different gods that the Arabic world worshipped at the time. They were a polytheistic people. And so Muhammad was essentially kicked out of Mecca, ended up, I believe, in a place called Medina. I might be wrong. And so what he did was he started gathering up people who believed his little cult, and they would raid the caravans going in and out of Mecca from this other little city they were in. So they were kind of, I guess, like starving out Mecca. And then eventually Mecca allowed him in at the head of his little army. He took over Mecca by the sword, and then got rid of all but one. There were 360 gods in the Kaaba. He removed all but one, the moon god Allah, and claimed that Allah, who was his family's god, going back generations, his father and his grandfather's name all had the name Allah in them because they worshipped the moon god in his family. And he removed all of the other gods, the 359 other gods. The Kaaba today is where in Saudi Arabia is where all the Muslims go to, do that thing where they walk around the big black building, and inside is the idol of Allah, which is a fallen meteor. Well, fallen. It's a meteor. The black stone of Islam. So after this, he converted the people of Mecca to his one God faith. And then over the course of the rest of his life, he went around murdering Christians and Jews and forcing people to convert to Islam by the sword. Again, he was a warlord. And upon his death, his son claimed succession, and his brother claimed succession. So the faith of Islam was split into what we now refer to as Sunni and Shia. And over the course of the next 1400 years, the excuse me, the Islamic forces went around, grew through, again, following the example set by their warlord founder. They murdered, enslaved, and subjugated vast parts of 3 continents over the next 1400 years, and murdered 250 million people before the population of the planet ever reached 1 billion people. So they had essentially wiped out 1 out of 4 people on the planet over the course of 1400 years. And then in 1918, the Ottoman Empire, as it had, the Ottoman Empire was like the Muslim caliphate of all the different Muslims around the Middle East and whatnot. They sided with Germany in World War I. After the loss in World War I, the Western powers broke up the Ottoman Empire into the existing states, the countries that we know today, and, like I was mentioning before, installed kings, dictators, whatever, to kind of keep the boot heel down on the neck of Islam so that it could not once again rise into the power that it was the 1400 years previous. So that's your Cliff's Notes version of Muhammad and Islam. And yeah, it is the single most bloodthirsty ideology in the history of the world, seconded only by communism at 100 million people dead. So there you go. Socialists love Islam, says John Smith. Go figure. Michael Strelitz says, well done. One can say a culling of the planet. They certainly did that. Vlad the Impaler fought the Ottomans as well. Yes. They would castrate their African slaves. This they would do also. Yeah, I mean, there's lots of lots of interesting and horrible things you could mention about that 1400 years. But yeah, actually, Islam today is one of the only cultures remaining on Earth that endorses and propagates slavery. So, they should have called themselves. Well, they do that on occasion. Yeah. So the Sunni and the Shia. That's the funny thing. If the Sunni and the Shia ever like just got together, yeah, imagine how much worse it would be. Withheld rather not say. Mike, do you study this stuff? Doesn't it? You think? Yeah, I do. Scott Eben, if you want to learn pure objective stuff on Islam, look up David Wood and Nabil Qureshi on YouTube. Black Wolf Senpai says, yep, you got it right, Mike. Kevin Chan says, oh, so that's how the split happened. And then there was war between them. Yeah, yeah. Honestly, if they had handled it like the way the what do you call it? I don't know, the way they do on Vikings or something, you know, where you just, if one of them had just killed the other, they never would have had the whole Sunni Shia divide. Scott says, some cultures are more depraved than others. Islam is right there at the top, and we could argue us with its abortion. Oh, the us as in the U.S. with its abortion industry. You know, it's not us. It's, I mean, Brazil has more abortions than America does. Europe, I don't even know the numbers in Europe. That's the crazy thing. We're always talking about, oh my gosh, 70 million babies have been aborted in America. We always say in America. I cannot fathom the number of babies who have been aborted in all of the Western and Eastern, just on the planet. China is a far worse offender than us. Far worse. Japan, it's no slim pickings either. Brazil is worse than us. I imagine a whole bunch of South America. I don't even want to know. 70 million just in the United States. Yeah. Abortion is a far worse offender than Islam. Yeah. Wow. I don't even, I don't even want to think about that. That is crazy. Mm-mm-mm. Are you rocking those khakis with a cuff and crease? No cuff, no crease. Sorry. I apologize. Canada surrendered and there wasn't even a war. 70 million a year. No, Akuma. No. 70 million. And it's estimated 50 to 70 million. So I'm just using the higher estimate because a lot of things always, end up not getting reported. But 70 million since Roe versus Wade. So since 1973. And even if you use the low count, 50 million, that's still 1 out of 6 Americans. Yeah, probably a lot. Let's just say God's probably wondering, should I use fire or brimstone? Samurai Sid says, I doubt we get the real numbers. Yeah, I do. How many in China aborted? Oh, I would estimate half their population at least has been aborted. I mean, half of their births, because A, they abort girls because they don't want girls, because they have the one-child policy. And B, if they have the one-child policy, if they get pregnant again, they have to abort that. So it seems like for every healthy boy that was born, they probably ended up aborting at least 1 or 2 children if you just go by numbers. Crazy, right? Do you think that as a people, as planet is over, our planet is overrun? No, I don't. 95%. What's the exact statistic? I think it's between 90 to 95% of the population lives within 50 miles of the coast, or within 50 miles. Yeah, I think that's right. I think it's like 90% of the population lives within 50 miles of the coast. If you've ever driven more than 100 miles inland in America and then driven across America, this is an empty continent. It is so empty. I mean, take a flight from coast to coast or to coast to anywhere else and just look down the whole time. It's like vast hundreds and hundreds of miles of nothing, and then, oh, look, a town. Oh, look, a city. And then hundreds and hundreds. Oh my gosh, there's the only overpopulation in America, and frankly, in most of the world, is on the coast. People just love living on the coast. I do. I'm here. If you want to see empty, look at Google Earth images of Canada. Scott, I think Dems are trying to turn Ruth Bader Ginsburg into a cyborg. I wonder if she's laying in a hospital somewhere on life support and they just refuse to let her die. I'm really curious. Nobody's heard from her in how long? 2 months? EVS was spot on about Kirkman's work. I don't know what he said about Kirkman's work. Even population, China's population is aging. Let's see. Yeah, I don't know what's going on. She should, if you're gone this long from the Supreme Court, they should call an audible and just boot her. Get somebody else in there. It drives me nuts, the whole overpopulation argument. It is just ridiculous. It is. It is. It's just a great big empty planet. So no. God laughs last. That's like 1/3 of a generation. I don't know what you're talking about specifically. Oh, that 70 million. No, 70 million a year. No, that would be insane. No, it's roughly 1 million people a year, I think, nowadays. I think it's slowed down in the past few years. But it's rough. I think it's roughly 1 million a year that are killed. Oh yeah, Enigma Seeker says the rate of abortion is going down. There is a cultural attitude shift. Yeah, it's because of education. Everybody knows. Well, not everybody, but more people know now that you can't sell everyone on the "it's just a lump of cells" argument. It's ridiculous. Antonio Cardenas says it took 700 years to drive them out of Spain. Ask Canales. It took 400 years. The Ottoman Empire took over, what do they call it? Andalusia, for 400 years. And then they rose up and kicked them out in the 1400s. In 1492, actually, I think was when they finally took back control. And then that's when, or not when they finally took back control. 1492 was when they exiled all non-Christians out of Spain. And that's also when they started like the Spanish Inquisitions, and also when the secret Jew, Christopher Columbus, set off to find a homeland for, this is kind of a conspiracy theory, but it kind of makes a whole lot of sense according to Columbus's own writings. He set off to find a new homeland for the Jews. Not, and part of his mission was saying that he was looking for a trade route to China. But yeah, a lot of stuff happened in 1492. But I think it was 400 years of the Ottoman Empire controlling Andalusia, or Spain, as we call it. Charles Martel saved Europe from a major Islamic invasion. The Catholic Church, as much as I tend to rag on the Catholic Church because of their history, I don't rag on it so much today, but I rag on their history. Dude, the Catholic Church saved Europe, saved Christianity. Well, I don't know about saved Christianity, but it saved Europe. I can't remember which pope it was. The one that answered the call of Constantinople, of the Eastern Empire, because they had been constantly overrun by the Ottoman Empire. And he was the one prior to him getting out this pope calling the First Crusade. Prior to the First Crusade, and the First Crusade was the European nations who were all fighting and bickering and killing each other, right? Over land, over title, over power, whatever. The Pope who called the First Crusade got them all together, and he's like, "Hey, stop fighting each other. We have our Christian brothers in the Eastern Empire are being overrun by these Muslims. We must gather all of our forces and go defend Constantinople." That was the First Crusade. It was a call to a defensive war against the invading, murdering, genocidal Islamic forces. And yeah, and if it wasn't for them, you know, Islam took over all of North Africa, right? The Middle East, North Africa, into Eastern Asia or Western Asia. These were all Christian lands, right? And Islam had took over all of Northern Africa, taken over Russia, taken over freaking obviously all of the Middle East, and they were now trying to push into Europe. And they would try over and over and over again, century after century after century. And it was because of the Catholic Church and because of the Holy Roman Empire and the Crusades that they were stopped, that they could not take over. Otherwise, everyone in Europe would be speaking Arabic right now. Saved Europe, but waited too long. Yeah, the funny thing is the Muslim invasion into Europe now is being open and welcome because tolerance. Oh, tolerance. It's not just tolerance. Oh, it's tolerance, and it's the inability of the European people to populate their own countries and create children because they're so educated and so intelligent now that they want to live their own lives and they don't want to bother having children. So the European population is literally not creating enough offspring to replicate itself. Thus, they don't have enough people to do the work. Thus, they're inviting in the Muslim invasion that they spent 400 years fighting off just a few centuries ago. They are now inviting them in with open arms and saying, come mow our lawns for us, build our buildings, and rape our women. So, genius, Europe. Genius. Why don't you get back to church, get back in the bed, start making some babies. That's how you save your future. Anyways, I think we maybe have like 1 minute left. Let me check. We've got 2.5 minutes left. So let me see if anyone else has any other questions right before I go. Hey, did you guys see Foot Dragon? I drew a dragon with my foot last night at the end of the stream. It kind of irritated John Malin. Pope John Paul II has a comic book? Oh, okay. What? I left England because of the socialist cred. Europe is cucked. That is pretty much the perfect way to describe it. Europe is indeed cucked. Tolerance, that only works one way. Yeah. We're so educated that barely any of us knows history. Beowulf, can I tweet you a GoFundMe link and you can see what you think about it? Yeah, go ahead, Beowulf. Dennis, can you color it with your foot to up the game? Oh my gosh. That would probably come out really ugly. Sell your foot dragon for $100. Will Foot Dragon earn you more than Malin? Perhaps you need a theme song. I might have to. Foot Dragon, flying away. Foot Dragon, no, it's not gay. I don't know. How can you change a country that doesn't want to change? I don't know, man. I have no idea. Can you get on Friday Night Auction Cross Comics? No, we're pretty full up, man. I got too many people that want to be on it. They see the money. They see the monies. What if you guys did? Like Saturday Night Auctions Fan Edition or something like that? That would be fun. To to the theme of Puff the Magic Dragons. Dragons created by feet have foot fetishes. Wah, 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 wah. Did you seriously do that with your foot? I can't do that with my hands. Yes, I did, Jesse. History is slowly fading into the mists of time like it always has. All right. Well, that's it. We are at an hour. I want to thank everybody for being here. I do love this time spending it with you. I pray you have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Please do like, subscribe. If you're here and you're new, please subscribe. Please subscribe and share this stream out and my channel out, please, with friends and family who you think would enjoy this kind of content. It is up to you guys to grow this channel. I'm only one man. I can only do so much. I'd love it to grow, but it's gonna be you guys that have to do it. So thank you very much. Love you all. Have a great, blessed day. And don't forget themegcomic.com. Support themegcomic.com. God bless.